And that was like a big epiphany when someone told me at that point in time. They said, Jeff, when you are asking someone to be even your girlfriend, even your fiance, your wife, do you know how big of an ask that is? Right? You are asking someone to live their one life that they're ever going to have, the one consciousness, and you're asking them to spend it with you. So if people don't want to spend it with you, how toxic can you be to think this is personal? This is about you somehow.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are not an amazing asset, a high value asset, objectively speaking, how can you be upset that people don't want to choose you? And that woke me up, because I always justified my behavior as like, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm not that bad. But now that raised my standards to be like, if I want someone to spend the rest of my life with me, I better be irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm.
And so that moment, that changed the trajectory of everything for me. And the reason why I decided to have this business was because I see a lot of men with really good intentions with their life, with their partners, with everything. But they're just suffering from this idea of either learning the wrong how, having that lower standards that I did before, and just not understanding like a different paradigm in which to view relationships that is healthier, which is a shame.
What you said, I better be irreplaceable. But to really own that, and in any aspect of your life, be irreplaceable as a best friend, as a significant other and a partner, at a job, anything in that aspect. Getting to that point, however, it takes a huge leap of transformation, in my opinion, of that confidence of self-belief to say that I am irreplaceable.
I can go on and on about this one, because this is near and dear to me, this topic of defining what being irreplaceable actually means. I think the best start for this is going back to the basic fundamental human needs, all human wants, right? So you can look at models like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for example, right? You have the baser needs, like the material needs on the bottom, right? Survival needs, etc. And then you have more spiritual, you have more kind of more vague, more difficult to get needs up top, self-actualization, esteem needs, etc. A high value man is someone who can give the higher level needs. The traditional definitions of high value is all these things that men do it. Like this is the guy, Andrew Tate, right now. He prides himself on money, cars, all the material goods that he buys. And he thinks that makes him powerful.
Yeah, I watch his videos. It's amazing. The so many times I listen to things I hear him say, I'm like, he is so spot on. And the other stuff, I'm like, what world are you living in?
Yeah.
What world? Like, I
Not everything
cannot
is
agree with,
crazy.
like, yeah, I'm protecting my wife. Don't touch my girlfriend. Like I protect my Lamborghini. Whoa.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah.
That is it.
And I can go on tangents on that one too. But so how do we get to the point though, where men associate this money, power, everything with actual power as high value? And here's kind of the issue of correlation versus causation, right? So you learned a long time ago that if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of power, women will love you, right? That's the sign of a masculine symbol. But you see, like the psychology behind this is very interesting, because people don't like money. People are not attracted to money, but people are attracted to what money symbolizes. And so the association people make is like, if this guy has a lot of money, has a lot of power, he must be very masculine, and I'm attracted to that. So they're attracted to the symbol of it. But is that association always true? I don't think so, because a lot of times you get those things, those masculine symbols, because you're trying to make up for something else. Like, to be honest, when I was starting my business, it wasn't to create value. Sorry, I wanted money, right? And it was to make up for my poor upbringing, and it was an overcompensation. Same thing for a lot of men.
If you're trying to make up for this lifestyle of not feeling good enough or trying to prove, you either become hyper successful or you're on the streets with drugs. And those are typically the two ways, but the underlying reason is usually the same, because you're trying to prove an external thing to yourself that you're never going to achieve, because you think, again, it's something external, more of this, more of that, more of wherever, that's what you have to attain. So I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but
I love that idea, because it kind of transitions to my next point of everyone starts out in the beginning of their life needy. So if you have a cup here, right? I imagine this cup to be like this, not full. I think if you look at just humans, single people to being a parent, same thing. Single people are very selfish in the beginning. Kids are very selfish in the beginning. People in relationships are very selfish in the beginning. They're selfish because they're beta. But then one day you read some books, you educate yourself, and you start to fill your cup. All right. But the second stage is when you fill your cup and you use your newfound power in a very selfish way. You see this in entrepreneurs, right? When I first started getting money, I bought this watch. This is a $100,000 watch. I bought cars. I was very selfish with my money. Everything's about me. What can you do for me? And I think it's the same thing for relationships. When men find their newfound power here, they want to use it. What can I get? But then you eventually get bored of that. You eventually outgrow that, and you go to the third stage, which is when your cup now overflows.
Yeah.
You have enough for yourself. And you see this entrepreneurs who have gone over that stage of being selfish now says, I want to start a foundation. I want to do this because I want to create value.
But there's typically, Geoffrey, there's a point in there where there has to be that realization that there is a paradigm shift in your mind, because a lot of people get to that point and then it becomes destructive because they have achieved so much, but they aren't reaching that point yet. And they're like more and more and more. Now it becomes destructive with drugs, because I've done everything possible in the world. I'm still not attaining what I want. Maybe with a little blow, I can do it, or a little, then it becomes very destructive. So at some point in time, that transition happens. In going back, is that cup getting overfull, is maybe getting that transformational space of, first it's me, because that was my life. And, me, what can I get? And I realized I was always empty. Once I had my transformation, I realized how much I can just give authentically to the world.
I love that. I love that point, because you mentioned earlier the transition from that stage 2 to stage 3, where someone is selfishly using their power for their own gain, versus how can someone graduate, I guess, or go to the next level of actually being a little bit more selfless, in a much more noble way, show up in a much more noble way in a relationship.
Yeah.
That pain. People need to feel that pain. Same thing for my relationship too. I have all these people. I can get any person I want. I have relationships or dating relationships, but I'm so miserable. I feel like my whole life was a lie. But a lot of people haven't faced that yet. The thing is this: life will keep giving you the same slaps in the face. Each time, harder and harder and harder and harder, until it wakes you up eventually, until you realize there's got to be something else.
What was your point then, Geoffrey? That's what I kind of wanted to get to at the bottom of this was, what was yours that was like, fuck it, this is what I have to do. I meant to do this.
I saw the feedback loop this has within me, right? I was so emotionally illiterate. I was so suppressed. I was so repressed as a man. And I also saw it from my partner's point of view. I realized that at that point in time, I was also suppressing my partner to the point where she became someone who wasn't spiritually awakened, because I didn't allow her to be. And she was only focused on the bottom rung here.
Bingo.
And that was my wake up moment. Like, I realized that I was creating a culture, a life, where I was destining myself to only the lower level rung of value. Not only what I was giving, but what I was getting by the environment that I was creating. I was suppressing that higher level value development.
So what was the first action you took then to actually do something about it? So you said you saw it, you recognized it. How did you act upon that to have that finally be a rewarding experience?
So it was Samantha, actually, who exposed me to a lot of this stuff that I know now. And she was the person who actually let me see other parts of life besides work, money, power, whatever it is that I was looking for. And for the first time, we actually had conversations that went extremely deep. We talk about goals, dreams, feelings, etc. Epiphanies, realizations. Us arguing about sex, for example. Us arguing about these things that a lot of men would say it's such an important thing, suddenly becomes freaking trivial. Like, who cares? And so that was the moment when I realized, like, we are setting our sights on much higher value, much higher level things than the base human experiences. So a lot of people, they rate their relationships quality by how many times they have sex, for example. We don't care about that anymore. We still have a lot of sex, but we don't care about that anymore. That's just a side effect now. We're focused on so much higher level things.
I have to jump in on that, Geoffrey, because that was my experience with my partner. And again, through my transformation, it really was becoming that person that you're talking about, where I had a mind shift now of who can I be to somebody, as opposed what is somebody going to bring to the relationship. But the commitment I made to myself and her was, I am going to provide her everything in the world that she needs to be the most amazing person to the world.
Yep.
And that's what I check my barometer on when my ego pops up in the way, about her either not making enough money. But the thing is, when we've done that, she's gone through her own transformation. She's stopped certain substances. She's created a business. And so I feel like as long as I stick to that word, this business is growing. It's happening. I mean, I'm allowing that to happen to another individual. And it's one of the most beautiful things in the world to do.
You got to experience it to believe it, kind of thing. Like, for example, if I asked you, right, hey, Bill, when you were in your sex craze day, hey, Bill, you know, there's a new layer to fulfillment that you're not seeing right now, and I can show you the way. Would you have believed me?
Never, ever. And I
No,
tell that
no.
to my guys. It's a different way of life. It's such a higher level. You
got to experience.
It's like taking a psychedelic drug for somebody who's never taken it.
Right.
Trying to explain it to them,
like
it doesn't do any good.
So the thing I tell my clients is like, look, I'm not going to tell you what things are going to feel like when you finish this program. You're not going to believe me anyway. But all I'm asking is, before you pay me money, can you surrender to me and my processes? Can you just surrender to it? Just trust me on this one. I'll let you feel it. And once you feel it, you will know.
Correlating to what you said earlier, which was become irreplaceable by providing that high level in a relationship. You're just replicating that and being able to do that across the board, just not in your own significant relationship with Samantha, but you're creating such a high value in this space. So you're just transferring the same thing. It now reaches many people. And I think that's a lot of even entrepreneurs, you know, when they make their first million, it is about them and all of their own resources that they took. Now that you have it, you do get to build a legacy, however this turns out, because you no longer are doing this for money.
I have abundance because of money, because I changed a lot of people's lives. I create a lot of value. The results are there. I made my first $4 million. My partner does not give a crap about that. She does not care one bit. Our life hasn't really changed. So the money doesn't come first. The value comes first. Then the money comes later. What she cares about is, am I creating for her those higher level values? Am I allowing self-actualization to come about?
You can find the link to the full discussion in the video description below. The link is to my video podcast, White Collar Awakening.